Hey everyone, it's me, John, here with another Brainscratch Searchlight, this one for Wednesday, May 10th, 2017. Thank you so much for spending some time with me here today. Before we get into the case that I'm going to profile for most of the episode, I did want to give you a quick update on the DC teens that we've been tracking. We've been keeping track of 25 names. So far, 24 of them have now been removed from active missing persons. That is leaving only Zaire Flemings, who went missing from the 4200 block of 4th Street on Thursday, February 23rd, 2017. He is a black male with medium complexion, 5'9" in height, 160 pounds, brown eyes, and black hair. Last seen wearing a blue-white jacket, blue jeans, and gray New Balance sneakers. This means that Navaris Lorenzo Johnson has been taken off of the active case list. So we're down to just one, and I'm hoping that we might find Zaire sometime soon, and we can basically say that this DC teens phenomena is being extremely well handled by the Metro department out there. Fingers crossed that we can do that very, very soon here. Moving on to today's case. This is a website called Bailie.ca. This is a case out of Canada. We can see a picture of him on the left here at his, I believe this is from his college graduation ceremony. Date of birth, September 6th, 1989. His age is 27. He's been missing since Tuesday, January 10th of 2017. He's a Caucasian male, approximately 6 feet tall and 180 pounds, blue eyes, short brown hair, and a goatee. For tattoos, he has one on his back, a tombstone with wings spanning from the base of his neck to the middle of his back and from his left shoulder all the way to the right. His upper right arm also has a tattoo of praying hands. Last seen at approximately 11:30 a.m. on January 10th, 2017, when he was dropped off at his Oxford Street home in Oshawa, Ontario. He has a young son, Lucian, and 4 siblings. I believe that is his son that he's holding in the picture. There's a $5,000 reward for information leading to Cameron's location. Of course, I will copy this contact information and have it in the description box below. And here we have some more photos just so you can get a bit of a better sense of what he looks like. This is a bit of a tough case. There's really not a ton of information. We're going to review pretty much all the information that has been given to the public, but it seems like the authorities investigating this are remaining a bit tight-lipped on this case, so it's a little tough to look into. But before we get into it, I just want to thank Brain Scratcher Aaron for suggesting that I cover this case. Thank you so much for sending it my way. Let's continue. Just to understand the area a little better, Oshawa in 2011 had a population of just over 149,000 people. It's a city in Ontario, Canada, on the Lake Ontario shoreline. It's approximately 60 kilometers east of downtown Toronto. And I have a map that I've pulled up here. You can see Oshawa showing up here, Toronto is here, and this border line that you're seeing over on this side is New York. You can also see it is not too far from Niagara Falls, which is right down here. Jumping over to his Facebook page, Cameron.Bailie. Not a whole lot to see here, except we do see his education being listed as Durham College. I believe he graduated from there in 2014 with a mechanical engineering technology degree. He did mention to some friends the possibility of going to further school for a master's degree, but that's about it. We do see that there's a lot of family photos in here as well. Moving over to the Star.com, who I have to say has done some very good coverage on this case. They're one of the primary sources that I've seen that's been covering this case pretty intently. Durham police search for missing Oshawa man. Cameron Bailie, 27, was last seen in his Oshawa home on Oxford Street on January 10th, and that is certainly one of the strange angles on this case. Quote, family and co-workers are concerned as his disappearance is out of character for him, they said in a press release. It is believed Bailie is not in possession of a coat, cell phone, or a bank card. On Sunday, police and volunteers spent the day searching the waterfront area near his neighborhood, and just looking at this, there is a ton of waterfront area to be considered here, and a very big body of water. So I'm a bit personally concerned whenever I see a disappearance that happens around bodies of water this large. I think it just makes the search a bit more intensive and much more difficult. Someone has put together a map of areas of interest and the volunteer search areas. This is actually linked to on the Bailie.ca website as well, so you can get to it from there very easily. As you can see, the search areas are numerous. There is a Facebook group that has been working very hard, and as people go and even conduct their own searches, they can go to Bailie.Ca and enter the information of the search that they conducted so that it is noted on here as well. If we turn this off, we get it down to the main areas of interest, primarily where he was living right here with his sister, and I believe his mother also lives there. And from there, we get to this area of interest, which is where the police were seen searching. But we know if we look at the volunteer search areas, I mean, there's been a lot of searches all around this, numerous searches in this area. If we come further west, first of all, there's an area where it says that there was a sighting of him on the day he disappeared, but the link to that conversation in the Facebook group, apparently that post has been deleted, so I am not certain if this is valid or not. It'd be very interesting to me because it is on the day that he supposedly disappeared. I don't know if it's before he disappeared or after that 11:30 time frame, but I can't find the original post, so there's really no way to know. If we go much further west, though, this is his workplace. They did find some trace of him approximately 8 days after he went missing. This is from Durham Region.Ca. Shoes belonging to missing Oshawa man Cameron Bailie, believed found near Oshawa Harbor. Let's learn a bit more about this. His sister, Nicole Gerard, is being quoted in this article. She said that she saw her brother in the late morning on Tuesday, January 10th, and that her boyfriend dropped him off at the Oxford Street house between 11 and 11:30 a.m. that day. Gerard returned home from work just before 5 to find the house empty, but windows and a door open. Bailey's workout gear was in the living room and his laptop was open and playing music as if he'd just begun his routine, she said. Bailey's phone and bank card were found at the house. Quote, "He doesn't even have a winter coat on," Gerard said. Bailie also missed a planned visit with his young son, another highly unusual development, she said. And some more detail on the shoes that were found. This is from GlobalNews.Ca. A pair of shoes belonging to missing Oshawa man found near the harbor. Police say the footwear was located several days ago by a passerby. Quote, "Further investigation did confirm to us that they were shoes that belonged to the male," police spokesman Dave Selby said. "So we took that as an important piece of information and we continue to flood the park with officers and volunteers that have done searches as well. At this point in time, there are no indications of foul play for us," Selby said. Just to go back to the map to show you the area that they are talking about, it's weird because no one has actually pinpointed exactly where they found the shoes, but they're saying that it was close to this harbor over here. If we kind of get that in perspective, we can see that is quite a bit east from his house. In this Lakeview Park area around here. And there are kind of two different versions of the story about the shoes being found. I'm not sure which one is true. I've seen some comments saying that the shoes were, the laces were tied together and it was hanging from a tree. But I see more information that says, no, the shoes were actually found. They were both in the park, but they were not together. They were at separate places. Some people are theorizing that someone noticed the two shoes, put them together, hoping that the person that owned them might come back to find them or something along those lines. But I'm a bit curious just that the police don't determine there's any foul play here when we know that he left pretty much everything important to him back at his house. Apparently the only thing that he left with that couldn't be found were his cigarettes. And then to find later that his shoes are also removed from him. The day that he disappeared, it was snowing. I've seen some reports that say it was snowing even up to 4 inches, and that it turned into a very wet and cold evening. So for him to not have a winter coat, as his sister was saying, to have lost his shoes in some way, I would suggest that that at least puts him in a category of some risk or being in danger. I don't know that that necessarily constitutes that there is foul play going on there, but he's certainly at risk. So I do hope that it's weird. I bump into that comment all the time, and sometimes I get very frustrated at it because it kind of sounds like the police are saying, well, we really don't think that anything that bad happened here. And it could be extremely tragic, even if there isn't someone that has enacted foul play. Whatever that means. And I struggle with that too. I really wish that there was firm categorizations. If someone seems like that they're in danger of any kind, treat it as if it's foul play. So what if you're wrong? Break the resources out and try to find this person and help them. What if it's a situation where he might be harming himself? Apparently we don't count foul play as if someone wants to harm themselves. But what is the difference in that version of the story? Is it any less important? I personally don't think it is. But a month after he went missing, they had a vigil that they held on February 10th, and it was snowing. A lot of people showed up to it. There's actually footage of it on YouTube. I'll be sure to include a link to that down below. And once again, we get some comments from his sister, Nicole Gerard. He's a homebody, she said. He just doesn't like to be away from the house. Bailie was in a good mood the morning of the day he disappeared, she said. He was happy, she said, adding that he loves his 4-year-old son. His son's confused about why his father is no longer at home. And outside of the video that was posted of the vigil, there is a pretty touching thing that goes on with the Facebook group around this on that day, where people that couldn't attend it for one reason or another decided to light candles in their home and take pictures and post it to the Facebook group. I thought that was really, really well handled and just a nice show of support for people that couldn't be there physically. Unfortunately, the Facebook group seems to really be struggling, particularly with comments that don't seem very appropriate for an area where the family is likely to review information. That's something that I constantly struggle with even when I do these videos, and that's why I'm always trying to be cautious of telling you guys, please help me keep these comments decent. We never know who's going to come by and look at the comments here. But pontificating on things when you don't really have a whole lot of information on a page that the family is likely to be reviewing, or if they're kind of basing that as one of their tools in this search, I think it can be a very dicey proposition, and it can really affect people in a negative way. I really struggle with this part of it, because I do personally think there is some value to discussing potential theories. Sometimes that might jog someone's brain or set a different mode of action where they decide to look somewhere or consider something that they wouldn't have before. So I really struggle with it myself, but I do think that even if you are going to be bringing that up in one of those forums or a forum like the comments here on this video, it's always good to just be cautious and just post it as if you're sitting in a room with the family. There is certainly a tactful, sensitive way to talk about these aspects, but unfortunately, particularly with that Facebook group, it looks like there's really some people struggling with the messaging that's going on there, and it is really unfortunate because the drama becomes its own thing that has absolutely nothing to do with the actual search for Cameron or even the well-wishing, the prayers that are going on. It really takes away from all those things in a very severe way. And ultimately, for what? Is the information really all that helpful, or is someone just looking to get some attention or have some kind of ego stroke for sharing their opinion on a forum like that? I'm not sure, but I got to tell you, It's one of the tougher Facebook groups that I've read through. I kind of even debate if a Facebook group is the right thing for missing persons cases. I think a Facebook page where it is controlled specifically by one person, usually a family member, is a bit different than a group where you can have multiple administrators. They might be, like one generation removed from it being actually a family member. It could be a personal friend, or it could just be an interested citizen that's just trying to help. I think that turns it a little bit more into that Wild West format that can be very unfortunate. So what does the family think? Unfortunately, that's about all we have to really go on, because the authorities, they're quoted here and there, but they're really not releasing a ton of compelling information. Family of missing Oshawa man believes he was lured from home. According to Bailey's sister, Nicole Gerard, there are numerous unusual circumstances about how their home was left that suggest he did not leave alone and did not intend to be gone for long. The day he disappeared, Gerard said, Bailie, 27, visited her at work and was last seen on a surveillance camera arriving at their shared townhouse at 12:15 p.m. Now, I don't know why we have a discrepancy there. Of course, I haven't seen any sources for that footage being publicly available, so I don't know if he really disappeared around 11:30. Now, this seems to say that they have a sighting of him at 12:15. And of course, if they had a sighting of him being dropped off at 12:15, does that same tape have some footage of him leaving? Is he possibly in someone else's car and they just haven't noticed that he's actually in that footage? I'm really not sure. Gerard returned 4 hours later to find windows and a door open, music on, and exercise equipment out. She found his cell phone, wallet, car keys, and coats. The only thing she noticed missing were his cigarettes, and curious to Gerard, there was a set of wet footprints leading up to their front door. This is the only place that I've seen that has mentioned the wet footprints. I certainly hope that maybe some photos were taken of those footprints, something along those lines, so they could be analyzed further. It's interesting that she noticed it, because essentially she probably didn't realize that he was missing yet. Did she look outside the door after she realized he was missing and then saw the wet footprints? If so, what kind of time frame are we looking at here? Was he home literally within minutes and then disappeared right before she got home? Or was it a matter of an hour or so? How long would those footprints have stayed there? I'm really not certain, but we do have to remember this was a day that was snowy and it was turning into slush, and that night would be a very cold and wet night. Quote, I personally think someone came to the door and Cameron left with them or went out via the back door, she said. An apprentice engineer and father to a 4-year-old son, Bailie comes from a close-knit family of 5 children. He and Gerard live with their mother. 8 days after Bailie disappeared, his shoes were found in separate locations in Lakeview Park. Family members said the area had been searched multiple times before the find. Bailie had no history of mental illness, according to his eldest sister, Amanda Gerard. He was at my house the night before, she said. There was nothing out of the ordinary. I'm a nurse. I'm trained to pick up on those kind of things. Nearly 100 people attended a candlelight vigil for Bailie on February 10th. Frequent search parties began after Bailey's disappearance and have continued, with initial focus around Lakeview Park on the shores of Lake Ontario. Recreational diver Jim Van Loosen has made numerous dives into the lake and found nothing. The Ontario Volunteer Emergency Response Team also plans a dive to look for Bailie as part of a training exercise. Quote, somebody out there knows where he is, what happened, and nobody's come forward yet, said Gerard. I certainly believe that she is absolutely right. There might even be more than one person that knows what has happened. And of those people, there might be other people that have caught wind of what's happened through hearing conversations or overhearing things. I hope that there is a group of people that actually have some idea of what happened, and hopefully one of those people will step up and do the right thing and contact the authorities with their information and allow them to act on it and hopefully bring Cameron home one way or another. We frequently talk on this show about how tough it is on families to not know where their missing loved ones are. This is a case that is still pretty young in terms of some of the cases that we review. The odds of him being found alive, it's one of those things where we're getting to a time frame now where every day that passes, those odds are diminishing pretty rapidly. And when we consider that he didn't really take anything to survive, I mean, he didn't even have his wallet, he didn't take his car, he didn't take his car keys, didn't even take a jacket, and then he doesn't have the shoes that he was wearing, it really seems like something tragic could have happened here. I hope that that assumption is incorrect. But that is why I really hope the police are treating this in as direct of a manner and as important of a manner as they can. I don't know why that comment has to always come up about foul play. If it really changes things that much, I hope that they've already made up their mind that this case is serious enough that they should be treating it as if it was a foul play case. I mean, consider for a moment that someone did exactly as his sister is suggesting. What evidence would be left behind? What if someone came to the door, pointed a gun at him, and said, "You're coming with me"? There'd be practically no evidence except maybe some wet footprints. So it's really strange to me that there's always this bar of believability when it comes to foul play with law enforcement that seems like a bar that varies different heights depending on what office you're dealing with. But always seems like it's out of reach in cases where maybe they should be thinking twice about that assumption. But apparently they are remaining active on the case. Here we have an article from Oshawa Express.ca posted on April 13th, 2017. Days have stretched to weeks and weeks into months as the search for missing Oshawa man Cameron Bailie continues without success. Durham police inform the Oshawa Express that there are no updates on Bailie's case and the investigation is ongoing. There's also a WebSleuths thread on it. It's only 6 pages, so you can actually get through all the information fairly quickly. And this is actually just a little bit of a good juxtaposition to the Facebook group, because with WebSleuths, you might have people that are more far removed geographically from what's actually going on, but their interest is much more focused. You have a community of people that really care about these cases, really want them to be solved. And yes, in the same vein, you might have them talk about certain conditions or theories, but they're usually pretty respectful here because this thing is also moderated pretty heavily. So I personally think that if you're going to dive into this case, your time's probably better well spent first going through the links in the description box below, but after that coming to WebSleuths and reading through these posts. So where is Cameron Bailie? This is where I turn it over to you, brain scratchers. I ask if you have any friends in the Toronto area, please share this video with them. Let's please try to raise exposure to this case. Remember, I've got the contact information in the description box below. Links to all my sources are in the description box below. So there's a lot more to dive into if you want to try to learn more. Personally, I wish that there was maybe a firmer timeline on this case of that last day leading up to his disappearance. There's only one source I saw that actually even mentioned that it was his sister's boyfriend that dropped him off there. And I don't know why he was dropped off there at all. Was his vehicle not working? We know that he had a car. His sister said that his car was left there as well. Are there other conditions in his personal life that we don't know about? Friends that he might have been struggling with or having some type of dispute with? There is just so little information, and I really hope that the truth comes to light someday. But I can tell you, it's really hard in cases like this where it seems like the authorities are not truly engaging the public and trying to get help with this case. It seems like the authorities are happy that there are volunteers that are willing to show up and search, but they're really not giving out any information that I see that would trigger a public response or even help the family in terms of gaining significant media attention. So it really makes me wonder how law enforcement is treating this case. But outside of all that, Obviously, there are people that care out here, and even for the people, the 5,000 on that Facebook group, there are a significant number of very caring messages on that group. It's a shame that there are a handful of messages that are setting that group in a whole different direction and unfortunately pulling focus away from the true intent. But in any case, my heart goes out to the family. I truly hope that he is found safe and sound. I hope that he is found soon. And I hope that that little boy gets to see his father again. It's really, really sad. Admittedly, we don't have the family members talking a whole lot here. And if there was any suggestion that I could give to them, it would be to try to get the awareness raised to this case and keep it raised by being very open with the media and the public in general about Cameron, specifically what he was going through those last days leading up to his disappearance. There might be something in that they don't think is all that important, but all of a sudden that little tidbit of information gets released into the wild and someone picks up on it and says, wait, I heard a conversation that might tie to that little piece. We're not even close to the spectrum of having an event like that happen because there's just so little info on this case. I know I've said it so many times in this video, but it's a little frustrating. This guy deserves the best shot at being found, and I don't know if that's really what's going on right now, and that sucks. Anyway, maybe you guys can help with that. Let's try to raise awareness to this case. Thank you so much for spending some time with me here on Searchlight today. I hope each and every one of you out there is safe and happy, and I'll see you right back here on the Lord and Arch channel.